morning, everybody. Well, it's good afternoon actually now, isn't it? 12 o'clock. Welcome to, I'm just going to witter on whilst a few people arrive before I start introducing everything. So welcome to Eat, Move, Be Happy Stretch and Mobility session. So if you find yourself sitting for long periods of time at home, because you're working at a table or a desk that's not really set up for you working from home, there's a few people coming in now, then this session can just help you keep some of your joints and your joints mobile and look after your posture so that you can ward off some of those aches and pains that you can get from sitting still or sitting in a position that's not helpful for too long. And like I say every time, make sure that you're not sitting for long periods of time. So the best thing you can do is get up and start walking around. So don't sit for long periods of time without moving. Put an alarm on your watch so that you're getting up and at least changing position, not least of which standing up. You're going to stand taller, you're going to stretch your back, you'll stretch through your shoulders and you'll stretch through your hips, just moving around. So don't sit for long periods of time. Today I'm going to do a bit of an all over session. Yesterday we concentrated on hip flexors, which was quite good for me, and also stretching through the outside of your hip, through the outside of your bottom, through your piriformis muscle, which is a big muscle in your butt. And the day before, I'm trying to think what we did the day before, I did some new upper thoracic moves, which I thought we might revisit tomorrow because they were particularly good. But today we're going to do a bit of an all-over stretch and move. Starting with, you can do this seated or standing, but I'm going to stand because I have been sitting at my table for a little while. So I'm going to stand to do this one. So starting with our shoulders. So the move to start off with, we've done this one before. If you clasp your hands together and reach your hands out in front. When you're reaching out in front, I want you to try and think of keeping your shoulder blades squeezed together flat on your back. So we're not reaching forward like that, so your back is rounded. You want to keep the way I think of it is I keep my arms connected into my shoulders, so you're not reaching forward, you stay connected in. Don't let your bottom stick out, so tilt your pelvis under. Turn your hands so that your palms are flat, keeping your arms connected into your shoulders, and then work without letting your belly stick out or your bum stick out to bring your arms back behind your head. Now, my shoulder flexibility is not brilliant, so as you can see by that, I can't really get my arms behind my ears. That's actually quite hard work for me. Keeping your arms straight, and you're trying to get your arms back behind your head. If your shoulder flexibility is better than mine, you'll be able to move further back, but work to what you can do. Okay, and then hold that for a few breaths, try and relax into it, and then swap your clasp. So the other little finger goes at the bottom. Whichever way you clasp your hands first will be your preferred way, but we actually, when you move your palms out, it just impacts that might feel a bit strange now because it will be your second best way. So we do just stretch slightly differently. It alters our shoulder movement. Remember, don't let your bum stick out, don't let your belly stick out. So a nice straight line, arms straight. It's weird because I can see myself and I can tell that my arms aren't straight. And work to get your shoulders back. Okay, so that feels a bit better. And then we're going to work to stretch across the front of our chest. So you've worked through your upper back, so let's just stretch across the front of our chest now. So a really simple one that you can do. Again, you can do this seated. Whichever position, whether you're seated or standing, make sure that your base is solid. So that means that your weight should be evenly distributed either through your bottom or through your feet. So you're not sticking one hip out at the side or leaning onto one side. Your weight should be evenly spread through each side of your body. Clasp your hands at the back. Again, belly tight and bum tucked under. So you don't want your bum sticking out like this. So you need to tilt your pelvis, a bit like we did yesterday when we were doing the hip flexors. So keep your back flat, and then think of really stretching across the front of your chest. So you want some space across your collarbones, and then try and straighten your arms. And as you can see, again, I can't straighten my arms, but I can feel that stretch across the front of my chest and into my shoulders. So nice, and keep breathing. A nice stretch across the front of your body. And it's important when you're stretching that you work in pairs. So don't just stretch your shoulders and forget about your chest or your back, and don't just stretch your hamstrings and forget about your quads. Muscles work in pairs, they work with each other, so it's good to stretch everything and keep everything mobile. This one I'm going to show you sitting down. We'll do the twist, so you can use your chair. You can do this one standing, so even if you just twist round like we do with our Get Moving people, that's a nice twist for your upper back. You can get a slightly deeper twist if you sit in a chair and use the chair to help you. So sit nice and tall, reach backwards with one arm, other hand across your body. You're trying to keep your hips facing forward, but then we're thinking of twisting through each vertebrae. So I visualise each part of my back twisting gradually round till I get into my upper back. And you need to be sitting tall for this to happen. It's really difficult to twist around if you're slouched down. And each time you breathe out, try and go a millimetre more. Okay, and then come back to the front. And then go around to the other side. So sit nice and tall. You need to be able to pull on the arm at the back of the chair and also on your thigh. If that's too big a pull on the top of the chair, you can hold the chair further down, as long as you've got some movement. And you're trying to twist the top part of your chest, of your body, around as far as you can. And then, because the second time is always better, we'll do this again on this side. Sit nice and tall and breathe out. Try and relax everything else. Don't let your shoulders hunch up, because that's not good for your posture. So we're still working to get some space across our collarbones. And then back round to this side once more. Sit nice and tall. Relax your shoulders and breathe. Okay, so your upper back and your shoulders should feel a little bit more stretched with a bit more space in them now. Let's move to hamstrings and lower back. So this is a forward bend, and again I've said this before, if you have any issues with your lower back, make sure you use a surface to bend to and take it steady, so go gradually. So what we're aiming to do here, feet about hip width apart and standing nice and tall. So again, we're not standing slouched. Think of everything stretching up, as if someone's pulling you tall with a rope out of the top of your head. So that in itself just makes me feel a bit taller. And then use either the back of a chair or a work surface or a table. And what we're aiming to do, I think of sticking my bottom backwards, trying to do it so I stay in shot. And you need to be able to push down onto your surface. So the pushing down helps you to stretch through your armpits and get into your upper back. Sticking your bottom backwards and tilting your pelvis under helps you stretch through this part of your back. Now if you can, my hamstrings are actually reasonably flexible. So for me to stretch more through my hamstrings, if I let go of the surface, now I lose the stretch in my upper back, but we've just done some of that, so that's fine. But I'm moving towards the floor now. So here, I'm thinking of stretching up through the backs of my legs and down through my back, and if you can get your fingertips to the floor, that's fine. And just breathe into that stretch. Each time you breathe out, you might be able to go a millimetre more. Keeping your legs straight. And keep breathing. Okay, that feels quite nice through my hamstrings. So, one other one, we're going to go back to seating. And we'll just finish off with our hips. So we did some of these yesterday lying down, so this is the seated version. So sit on the edge of your chair and lift one ankle onto the top of your thigh. And for those of you that have not got particularly bendy hips, you might feel that now in your outside of your hip. I can certainly feel it in mine. My hips are not flexible at all. So if you just push down gently on that knee as if you're pushing it to the floor, that will increase the stretch a little bit. And that, just for a gentle mobility move, just to get some movement in your hips. Because if you're sitting still, particularly if you're not sitting, if you're sitting sort of hunched down, or the work surface that you're using is slightly too high or slightly too low, and that's not good for your hip position. So we do the other side. Sit nice and tall and just push that knee down to the outside. I need to do these more often. It's slightly ridiculous that even that is, I can feel in my hips. I have worked quite hard this week, but goodness, definitely need to do these more often. Okay, and then because second time's always better, we'll just do that once more on this side. If you want to increase that stretch a little bit, if you just move your belly button forward. So it's not rounding down over the top, we're staying sitting tall and just moving our body forwards a little. It should increase that stretch in the outside of that hip. And swap sides. And again, just move your belly button forwards. And keep breathing. Okay. And just give your legs a tactical waggle. So that should feel a little bit more mobile, a little bit more space in the joints in your upper back and through your hips. And you can repeat those throughout the day. If nothing else, doing these sessions is helping me, one, because I go through what I'm going to do and I stretch in the morning, and I do these, and then I'm stretching later on as well. So I am stretching more than I would normally, and I am feeling the benefit. So even just doing little and often, it's better than doing nothing. So keep going, and you can go back and look at the videos that we've done on previous days, so that you can revisit some of the deeper stretches or some of the more tricky moves to practice. I'll go back to the upper thoracic moves that we did the other day. We'll revisit those tomorrow, unless you have any special requests. So let me know, and then maybe I can do some research over the weekend and bring something a little bit different next week. So let me know what would be useful for you. Please share, spread the word. There are lots of people who are, if not working from home, doing a little bit less moving around than probably we would do if we weren't in lockdown. So please share with lots of people, and let's see if we can help more people be a little bit more mobile and a little bit more active, and not in quite so much stiff pain because of bad posture. Have a nice rest of the day. I think the sunshine is staying for today, and then it's a little bit cooler tomorrow, so enjoy it while you can, and I will see you tomorrow at 12. Thank you for watching.